Good morning. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Excuse me. Slurping. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Jean. Good morning, Miss April. Good morning, Miss Deidre. Your girl can't see. I need to put my glasses on. Good morning. Happy Thursday. Good morning, Miss Carletta. Good morning, Miss Janicia. Good morning, Miss My Therapy is Planning. Good morning, Miss Sunshine. Good morning, Miss On an Island 7. I hope I'm on an island for my birthday. Good morning, Miss Nisi, baby. No, I don't hope I'm on an island for my birthday. I intend to be on an island for my birthday. If the good Lord and my husband say so. Good morning, Miss OK Josie Simplified. Oops. I'm gonna give it another minute. Excuse me. I feel much better this morning, y'all. I think I didn't eat enough. I think that's what it was. I think I didn't eat enough and I was a little dehydrated with this cold or whatever it is I had. But now I am feeling so much better. Good morning, Miss Cassandra. Good morning, Miss Nisi, honey. Happy Thursday, everyone. It's almost the weekend. It is spring break next week for us here in Houston. Well, I don't know how the other school districts do it. Thank you, Miss Cassandra. Good morning, Miss Michelle. Good morning, Miss Aloma. Good morning, good morning, good morning, ladies. So let's go ahead and get started. Today is, in fact, let me blow this up because your girl can't see. Today is day 14. And day 14 is divine reversals, okay? God turns the tables. Our Bible verse is Esther 9:1, and it says, on the very day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them. The opposite happened. Our devotion is the same. Our devotion is the same day meant for the Jews' destructions became their day of victory. When all seems lost, God is still working. He can turn any situation in your favor. Everything is working out for your highest good. Good morning, Ms. DG. Our affirmation is God is reversing every negative plan against me. What people meant for harm is working out for my highest good. God is turning it around and around. And you know the songs, you know the vibes. Our action step is declare victory over any area where you feel defeated. Okay? Anything, Miss. Listen, we all need it, Miss Michelle. I agree. Good morning, Miss Nene. Our journal prompt is, oh, did I say action step? Action step, declare victory over any area where you feel defeated. I said that, but obviously I needed to say it again. Our journal prompt is, where do you need God to turn the tables in your life? Straight out the gate, Miss Island. Miss on the Island. Straight out the gate. Good morning, Miss Natarza. Straight out the gate. Good morning, Miss Malika. Straight out the gate. So the Bible verse is verse 9:1 in Esther, as we've been. So on March 7th, which ironically is tomorrow, isn't that? Look at God. Look, baby. Can't nobody work things out like God works it out, okay? Nobody. I don't care what you say. Nobody, okay? So on March 7th, the 2 decrees of the king were put into effect. So remember, the king had made the decrees, signed the decrees based on what Haman had asked him to do. And it wasn't like, from what I understand, a time where they could reverse them. But what he could do was basically say that the Jews could fight back. Okay. So on March 7th, the 2 decrees of the king were put into effect. On that day, the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, but quite the opposite happened. It was the Jews who overpowered their enemies. Good morning, Miss Nikki. Girl, you ain't late. You right on time, baby. It was the Jews who overpowered their enemies. It says in the second verse, the Jews gathered in their cities throughout all of the king's provinces to attack anyone who tried to harm them, okay? But no one could make a stand against them, for everyone was afraid of them. Yeah, that's lesson over. No, I'm just playing. Really, this devotional tells you all that you need to know. God can turn things around, and he can do it swiftly. Okay? It doesn't necessarily take years or months or weeks. Sometimes it could be days, okay? When you are ready to step into your purpose, when you are focused on your position and being obedient, God has your back, okay? When you surrender to his plan and the way that he's going to do things, and you don't worry about how you're going to pay them people back. You don't worry about how you're going to turn this situation around. You give it to God and you let him know, hey, I'm going to let you handle this, okay? Because you know way more than what I know. You can see much further into the future than I can, right? You know exactly what needs to happen and what doesn't need to happen, right? Yes, it's a done deal with God. Thank you, Ms. Cassandra. So let's talk about it. And this is kind of just going to reinforce the things that we have kind of been talking about already this week. But now we know. Now we know from this word and from our devotional, which is based on this word. Now we know that God can turn things around. And if anybody's here to tell you that God can turn things around, it's me, okay? From 22 to being sick, telling, them saying, hey, you might not live from the situation, to being on my own, handling things myself, not having a job, not knowing how I was going to pay my bills, much less how I was going to treat myself because I didn't have medical insurance, to today. Still don't got no job. No, I'm just playing. I worked. I went into remission with cancer, I like to say I'm cancer free. It's not a remission, okay? Because it's not coming back. I'm cancer free, baby. To meeting the love of my life, who came in with a swiftness and played no games, okay? I met my husband in November. We were engaged in April, okay? Everything that people said would take time did not take the time, okay? And I'm not saying we should put a timer on God. I'm just letting you know that things can happen even quicker than what we think they can, right? I know people that have been fighting cancer for years, and I'm very grateful that I did not have that experience. I had cancer. I was diagnosed. I mean, I'm pretty sure I had cancer way before then, right? But I was diagnosed in March 22. I was declared cancer free in April of 2023, April 3rd. I'm coming up on my second year, right? Like, when I tell you all you need to do is trust God and to surrender to his plan, when I tell you that, I am not telling you that because it's something that I don't know. I'm telling you because it's something I've lived, okay? Yes, I am free, okay? Good morning, Miss Shay. It's never coming back. It's not coming back, right? This whole, everything I went through was me learning how to surrender to God. And it's a daily thing. Every day I got to wake up and say, Lord, have your way, not my way, your way, okay? It's a daily thing. But what I do know from what I've been through is that God, he can work miracles. I am a miracle. I told y'all, I ain't just seeing miracles. I am one, okay? I don't know. Ain't more I could tell you than that. Ain't more I could tell you than that. So, how does this relate to a feminine woman of faith? A feminine woman of faith, okay? Verse Esther 9:1 is a powerful reminder that God can reverse situations in an instant. For feminine women of faith, this verse represents divine turnaround, because it was, favor, because it was, and the power of God's perfect timing. God will reverse what was meant for your harm, okay? The enemy plotted against Esther's people. He plotted against the Jews, but God turned that situation around. But she had to surrender to God, right? She had to pray. She had to fast, okay? She had to submit to whatever it is that God told her to do. She had to do it. Like, it wasn't an option. And that's the thing. Like, a lot of times we get into the situations and we know what we're supposed to be doing, but we take another option. That we got to stop taking the options, our own options that we create, and we have to do what God says. Even when it don't make sense. Okay? Even when I tell you, some things really don't make sense in the beginning, but you got to trust God. Before I got sick, y'all know I had quit my job. Okay, I had quit my job. I would start my own business. When I got sick, business was good. Like, things were picking up. I had just got some things taken care of. We were in a good position. I had money saved. Like, I was just like, okay, I did the right thing. And then I was diagnosed. And I didn't get medical insurance because A, it was expensive. And B, I felt like I was going to be okay. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. That's what I kept thinking. I'm healthy. Baby, I was not healthy. But I remember I had a manifestation journal at the time. And at the beginning of 22, I had gained some weight, some stuff like that. And I had said, Lord, I want to be in the best shape of my life. I want to be the healthiest I've ever been. And lo and behold, I was diagnosed because God was working out what I said. Okay, I wanted to be healthy and did not know I was sick. So at the time, I was diagnosed, it was like, God, I thought I was doing the right thing. Like, why would you let me to get sick and I don't even have health insurance, right? I don't even have health insurance. Like, why you didn't let me get sick last year when I still had a job and I could get, disability at my job, and, I had time built up because I had worked for that company for 18 years at that point. Like, why you didn't let me get sick then, Lord? But it all made sense. I didn't have to worry about FMLA. I didn't have to worry about going through red tape. I didn't have to worry about going to work. I told y'all God put through my disability in a month. In less than a month, I had disability, which was enough for me to pay my bills. In fact, I was making just as much from disability than because I didn't have a high paying job. Like, your girl wasn't balling or anything like that. I was making just as much, almost just as much. I didn't have to worry about medical bills, because I know people that go through cancer, and again, they have to pay a whole bunch of money, right? They have to pay for scans, they have to pay for tests, hospitals. I didn't have to pay for any of that, okay, because of the situation that I was in. It didn't make sense at the time, but God was taking care of things more than I knew, okay? More than I could ever imagine. I walked out of that situation without having to worry about a lot of things that people normally have to worry about. He took care of me. And so even though it didn't make sense that this came on at a time where I didn't have the things that we think in the world we need, God knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. That's right. Faith costs us nothing but worry, and unbelief is expensive. Very. Yes. I would like to think that what I went through was meant to be shared, and that's why I share it. Even though, like I said, I know people are like, God dang, here she come with that story again. It is what it is. I can't worry about what people say. I told y'all I shared my story on Threads, and so like right now it's at like 300K views, and so now the negative comments start coming in where they talk about, oh, well, you thanked God, but you didn't thank your medical professionals and all. How do y'all know what I did? I be so confused. I be like, how do you know I didn't thank medical professionals? In fact, I've thanked medical professionals publicly many times and privately to their faces. Okay, can't get nothing better than that. Me thanking them to their face. So I wrote a small little paragraph to address what they were saying. I said, for the people that are saying, I didn't thank the medical professionals, I've done that publicly and privately several times, many, many times, in fact. And I just said, it's funny when people tell this type of story. If people tell any type of anything that people can find negativity in it, it's crazy. Like, I seriously, something, I'm praying for you, because if you can find negativity from a very positive story, I don't know what to tell you. But I just said, I didn't even do the God bless, because to me, that's a little dismissive when you tell people that. I just said that, you know what? I pray that you never have to tell the type of story that I've told. That's what I pray for you. That you never will ever have to tell the type of story that I told. I don't wish that on my worst enemy, and I don't even got no enemies like that. And that's all I could say about that. But anyway, girl, people not gonna mind this. I did say though, I don't know y'all people on the internet, and I don't argue with strangers on the internet. Okay, I don't know y'all. Y'all don't know me, and I don't know y'all, and that's how I that's how I look at it. I don't know you people. Like my husband, you don't know the people. He say that all the time about people on social media. I don't know these people. he be cracking me up, because I be like, oh, that's my friend. He's like, you don't really know that lady, Nicole. And it's true. You don't really know. You don't really know people personally like that. Right. But anyway, God will reverse what was meant for your harm. Okay. The enemy plotted against Esther's people, but God turned that situation around. What was meant for destruction became their deliverance. Okay? If you read further on in the chapter, You will read about how they ended up, because back then, this is how they did things. They killed their enemies, okay? So they killed all of these people that came up against them. I think they did it for like 2 days. Mordecai ended up being the president, the king's right-hand man. All of this goodness came from this situation. God turned their destruction, what was meant for their destruction, into their deliverance. people, people do just want to say anything. It's okay. You really have to think about. You really have to be in a miserable situation, and I'm talking about the people that said negative things, because there are some people that commented like, I prayed to God and God did not heal my mom. I think someone had commented on that. And there's nothing I really could say to that. But that wasn't God's will. And I didn't want to say that because that sounds really, bad to say that to someone. So I didn't say anything. God tells me to be quiet on those type of things. But I tell y'all, and I say it again, did I want to die? No. But was I ready to die if that's what God said needed to happen? Yes, because I felt like my death, whatever happened and I died, it would have been to the benefit of my loved ones. I don't know how. I don't know how God was going to work that situation out. But I know he was going to take care of my children. And maybe that would have made them stronger. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know, and it's not even for me to question. I think we question a lot of things that we don't need to question, right? But I will say, if it was God's will, it was just what I was going to have to deal with. I mean, I was going to be looking at, maybe I needed to be an angel and look at my children from above. I don't know, but I was prepared. If that's what was going to happen, I was prepared. And I wasn't even, there was no, oh, I'm going to die, da, 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 da. I cried about the situation, but it was never like, I don't know. It was just, when you get to a point where there are not a lot of options, and so your only real option is to trust God, like you don't trip about stuff. You don't trip about stuff. So people may underestimate you. They may dismiss your softness, or mistake your grace for weakness. But God will vindicate you and elevate you. Some people don't want you to be soft, right? Some people don't want you to handle things with grace. Some people don't, they want to see you riled up. They want to see you angry. Right now, a lot of people want to see the angry black woman, right? Like, save us. Like, what's going on? Where's the black women? Like, they don't want to see us necessarily soft. And it is what it is. They don't want to see us minding our business, okay, and doing what we need to do, right? They don't want to see that, right? They don't want to see us, they don't want to see us being taken care of. They don't want to see us being loved on, whether that's by each other or, our men or whoever. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to see us elevated, right? It's just what it is. It's not fun. It's not right. They don't want to see us at peace. But that's okay. It's okay if you don't want to see me like that, because that's not how God sees me. So I don't care. Like we talked about yesterday, I don't have to have the validation of this world. I don't have to worry about what this world wants me to be. I'm what God wants me to be. And he wants us to be soft. He wants us to handle things with grace, right? He wants us to handle things with poise. He wants us to stay in our position, okay? He doesn't want us to step down from our throne. We up there. Why do we need to step down here, right? The battles you faced, the heartbreak, the rejection, the struggles will become testimonies of victory. I promise you this. Everything is working out for your highest good. If you believe, if you have faith, if you surrender, if you trust God, everything is working out for your highest good. God is a God of reversals. What looked like a loss is actually positioning you for greater purpose. What was meant for my harm, God is turning for my good. That's the affirmation. What was meant for my harm, God is turning for my good. I tell you all the time, I wanted to marry my ex. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to be with him. I'm going to marry him. He was there for me when I was sick. He took care of me. He helped me with my kids. All of those things. Like, I just knew I was going to marry this man. And when we ended, I was heartbroken. I was like, oh my God. And I wanted to get back together for a long time. I did. There were some months that went by where I was like, I should reach out, but I didn't. And when I started dating again, and then I met my husband, and then my ex and I had a conversation, I knew God had better. I knew that what I thought I wanted, that's not what God wanted for me. And that I needed to trust the decisions that he was making. I needed to go with that, right? I needed to go with that. And shortly after, I think me and my ex we had some conversations, but we had a major conversation. It's funny. We had this day. So when I'm just being transparent with y'all. When we got together, we always said that we were going to get married on 2/22. Okay, that was for whatever reason, that was our day, right? Of course, that didn't happen. But when we had our conversation, it was around that time, right? And he had told me all these things, and he had said all of these things, and I was like, well, why are you this is how unbothered God will make you. I was like, why are you telling me these things? Like, why are you saying, why are you telling me all of this? Like, because I was like, from what I had knew, he had moved on. I had moved on. Like, why? What's the purpose of this conversation? Why are you telling me this? And it's like, I want you back. And I was like, oh, well, no. Because at that point, me and my husband at the time, we were just dating, but we had talked about I was going to move in after June, because the plan was that we were going to get engaged. I didn't know exactly when it was happening, but the man was very serious about me. He had very good intentions, and everything he said he was going to do, he did. So I trusted that. I was like, we'll probably be engaged, because he knew I wasn't going to move in with him without that commitment, right? So at that point, I was like, well, no. I was like, I've moved on. I was like, I'm dating someone, and it's working out. And a little bit of that was hard, because like I said, this man had been there with me when I was sick. So I felt a lot of what do you call that? Loyalty to him for what he had did. But that's the thing, like, you can still be loyal to people, but have boundaries on that. Like, I'm loyal to his reputation that he was a good person, right? But I'm not loyal to having to be with him, if that makes sense, right? How do I say this? I don't know how to say it, so I'll just leave it alone. We get caught up in being loyal, and then sometimes it's to our own detriment, right? Had I said yes to him, we probably wouldn't be married right now. I'm going to just be real with you. And if we would be married, it probably wouldn't be that great. Because he had a lot of trauma from marriage in particular. It wouldn't have been a good thing. And so the good Lord, he knows. So anyway, moving on from that. God will elevate you in his perfect timing. Esther had to wait, prepare, and trust God's timing. But when the moment came, the tables turned, okay? The tables turned in her favor. Do not force elevation, okay? God will shift things in his perfect time. Stay in your position. Stay in whatever position that he has called you to be in at this time, whether that's to be single, whether that's to, be in the job that you're in, whatever position, or maybe that's to quit, whatever position he has called you in at that time, stay in that position, okay? Getting out of position, it will throw you totally off of what God has planned for you. And I tell you that when I ended up becoming cancer free, I decided to go back to work, right? Back to corporate America. Okay. I was like, oh, I'm going to go back to work. And part of the reason for that, and if I'm just being totally honest, and y'all know I'll be honest with y'all and very transparent, part of the reason for that is because I did want to get married. And I didn't want, I was performing. I didn't want my ex to think that I was going to always be a burden because of what I had been through. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to get this job and I'm going to show him, I know how to take care of myself again and da-da-da-da. And he's going to want to marry me because of that, right? That's honestly how I was thinking. And I was like, I'll get to working again and all that kind of stuff. Baby, that was all Nicole. That was none of God. And I think it's all his timing. It's all the way that he works things out, right? But I shouldn't have went back to work. Now, the people I worked for and the company I worked for was very, very good. But your girl is not, and I don't mean this to like down myself. Like, I'm not as quick on my feet as I used to be, right? Like, I don't learn things like I used to learn things, okay? It takes your girl a bit of time. And I was very frustrated. Like, there would be days at my computer that I would sit there and cry and be like, why did I do this to myself? I did this for a freaking man. Like, like I would really be upset. And so when my husband came into the picture and he was like, well, baby, you ain't got to do that. You stressed out. You ain't got to do that. Like, everything worked out. But had I really listened to God, I would not have went back to corporate America. I would not have went back to that job. That's not to say that I wouldn't have worked somewhere else, maybe part-time, something like that, something I enjoyed. I would do that now. Like, I would go work part-time somewhere that's not too not stressful. I could come home and leave it there. Baby, it was hard working from home, being frustrated, having to do all of the things that I had to do, and then close my laptop and go on about my day. Like, it was very hard for me to do that. But anyway, I'm saying that to say don't get out of position. Don't do things in your own will. Really pray about God and ask him what it is that you want me to do, Lord. I surrender. What's your plan? Right? So anyway, do not force your elevation. Stay faithful and positioned. Even when things seem delayed, your breakthrough is already written. It's already written. He goes before us. He already knows, okay, what it is that we need, what it is that he's doing, what it is on the other side, okay, that we can't see. He already knows. So we have to trust that and we have to stay faithful and positioned, right? Seek God first, absolutely. What felt like a setback is really a setup for something greater, and it truly is. Our affirmation is, I trust that God is shifting things in my favor. I trust that God is shifting things in my favor. That's a real powerful statement. That's a real powerful statement to say that you trust someone, right? And that's what God wants from us. Like, we don't really think about how serious it is to put your trust in someone, right? We don't really think about that, but that's what God wants from us. He just wants us to trust him. He wants us to trust him just like not everyone, but most people can trust their parents, right? Most people trust their mom. Most people can trust their dad, right? That they're going to make sure that nothing happens to them. Certainly when we were children. Most of us, of course, everybody's situation, y'all know. But most of us could trust as children our parents, right? That they were going to take care of us. They were going to make sure that we were good. Of course, they made mistakes. They were adults. A lot of people don't understand. Your parents were just figuring it out as well. But for the most part, we could trust them. We could trust what they told us. We could trust that they were going to keep a roof over our head, food, All of those things. That's how God wants us to trust him, just like we trusted our parents. And if we trust him, we can walk in favor. We can know that our battles will be taken care of. Okay? That doesn't mean they won't come up. Okay? The verse is, no weapon formed against me shall no weapon formed against me shall prosper, but the weapons will form. It's what it is. It's life, right? Can't do anything about that. But he's promised you that they won't prosper. And I can tell you 100% that that's true. Okay? Victory comes through God, not striving. Okay? He didn't tell you get out there and fight like that, like him. Okay? You're not on his level. You don't have the weapons he got. Okay? But what you do have is him. Okay? Esther did not fight battles with aggression. She fought with wisdom, discernment, and God's favor. Okay? She couldn't fight it like God could fight it. There was no way that she was going to be able to raise up an army and kill all these men and all this kind of stuff. God had to do that part. But what she could do is what God told her to do, which was get in position, pray for discernment and wisdom, and follow what I tell you to do. That's what she could do. And that's what she did. You don't have to chase, prove, or fight for recognition. Let God open the doors. And we talked about that a little bit on yesterday. God will open the doors for you. You do not have to open a door. Just like you shouldn't be opening no doors with no man, God say the same thing. You ain't got to open no door. You ain't got to try to force your way through, okay? You don't have to try to make things happen. I got you. Stay graceful, patient, and strategic like Esther, knowing that true power is in God's hands, not human effort. Okay, there's nothing, and I'm just here to tell you, there is nothing that you can do greater than what God can do. Period. Period. There is nothing you can do greater than what God can do. There's no way that I should be here right now, for the most part, right? When they found my cancer, I was already at stage 4. It had already spread, right? There's no way that I should be here like that. But God worked everything out. Blew my mind. Blew my mind, okay? Because I've been there before. I'm so glad yes, God has changed us. Thank you, Lord. Yeah, so when he do it, it's done. It does get hard sometimes. Listen, this is not an easy walk. This is not an easy walk. Like I said, there's a lot of times like I have, stumbled off the path, so to speak. A lot of times. And I've had to get right back on there. I've had to find my way back to that path, right? And get back on it. And sometimes I was further behind than what I should have been because I got off, right? But luckily, if you wake up the next day, you can keep going, right? You can keep going. So understand that true power is in God's hands, not human effort, okay? And like that goes back to me thanking the medical professionals. Of course, I think the medical professionals, like I told y'all, God put me in a place where I was being treated by doctors that treated people at MD Anderson, right? Like I'm grateful, right? But I know the true healing came from God. He put those people in position. He put me in position to be in those people's path. He set me up with the nicest, okay? Like my surgeon, Dr. Milano, I love that man, okay? He is the sweetest man. Checks on me and everything. God put me in that position. And God, that was God. That wasn't necessarily that man. That was God working through that man, right? So it's not human effort. It's all God. And we still thank those people. Lord, don't let people think that I'm not thanking those people, because I most definitely am. But I know, like, you ordained all of that, right? You set all that up, right? You made this happen. Your softness is not a weakness. It is a strength that God will use to turn things around you. Let me tell you something about being soft, okay? Being soft means that we could take something and bounce right back, right? When something's soft, like a pillow, you lay on it and then you shake it out. Y'all know how y'all see those people karate chop their pillows, and they got to do it every morning because even though that pillow's soft enough to karate chop, it goes right back to form. That is what's being soft. When something is hard, you hurt yourself trying to manipulate it. You hurt yourself trying to, not necessarily, I don't mean manipulate in a bad way, like change it. You hurt yourself trying to do something to it, right? You get hurt when something's hard and you break it. It's not easy to put back together, right? God made us soft for a reason, okay? And we need to embrace that. We don't need to be hard to win battles, okay? Being hard isn't going to do anything but break us into pieces. Being soft means that we can bounce back. I'm showing my soft and supple skin. Being soft means that we can bounce right back, okay? Being soft means that God can mold us, right? Being soft means that he can put us where we need to be, right? When you're soft, you're light, you're easy, right? When you're hard, you're heavy, right? It's hard to move heavy things. It's hard to move heavy things, right? So your softness is not a weakness. It is a strength that God will use to turn things around for you. Our affirmation is I walk in quiet confidence, knowing my victory is already secured. So Haman's plan to destroy Esther's people failed. Instead, the very ones he plotted against rose in victory. As we read in the story, these people were able to defend themselves and rise up to the point where the people that were coming against them were afraid of them, okay? The enemy's plan against your life, confidence, and purpose will not succeed. Will not. Any opposition you face, doubt, fear, rejection will be turned around for your good. Everything is working out for your highest good, for your best. Not good enough, but for your best, for God's best for you. You are already victorious in Christ, even when circumstances seem against you. Even when things don't seem like they working out, like there's no way, like, and I just bring up cancer because that's the significant event that happened in my life that was the change that turned everything around. And at the time, it's there's no way you could have told me cancer would have did that, but it did, right? It all worked out for my highest good, right? It all worked out for my highest good. There's no way that you could go in and someone tell you that you have stage 4 cancer and you think that that's going to work out well. Like, right? Like, but look at God. Like, look how he does things. Like, we don't need to understand it. We just need to go with it. We just need to go with it. And let that be an encouragement. And I don't mean that you shouldn't have feelings. We are human beings and God gave us feelings for a reason. I truly believe. But if things aren't going well, if you get some bad news, don't let it take you out, right? Don't let it take you to the point where you're depressed and you can't function. When you get that bad news, after you process your feelings, because that's very important, lean on God. Let God know that you've seen him do things, unimaginable things, and that you trust him and that you surrender to what his plan is and know that he can work it out for your highest good. Okay? The affirmation is no weapon formed against me will prosper. The weapon will form. The weapons will form. I'm here to tell you. But they won't prosper with God. They won't prosper with God. As a feminine woman of faith, you do not have to fear, fight, or force outcomes. Esther 9:1 is a reminder that God is working behind the scenes, preparing a divine turnaround just for you. Okay? So, where do you need to trust God for a reversal in your life right now? Which is, I believe, also our journal prompt. Where do you need God to turn the tables in your life? So I will read the devotional one more time. Day 14, divine reversals. God turns the tables. Okay. Esther 9:1 says, on the very day the enemies of the Jews had hoped to overpower them, the opposite happened. Our devotion is the same day meant for the Jews' destructions became their day of victory. When all seems lost, God is still working. He can turn any situation in your favor. Our affirmation is God is reversing every negative plan against me. Okay? Listen, you should have a peace in knowing that God knows everything. He knows what people are trying to do. He knows what people are trying to maybe leave you out of or keep you from. He knows all of those things and that he's working it out. And you ain't even got to worry about that. There should be a peace in that, right? There should be a peace where you can be soft because you know you don't have to be hard because God is fighting your battles, right? You know you don't have to be out here being aggressive and being the angry black woman or whatever it is that they try to turn us into. Like, you don't have to be those things. God is fighting your battle. Look, if don't nothing tell you that, the current administration will tell you that, right? Like, we ain't got to worry about it. We know that, you hearing about the different things after his State of the Union address or whatever. I said to myself, you know what, God, you knew this was going to happen. You put him in this position. I ain't worried. I ain't worried about it. I ain't worried about it. Listen, I don't worry myself about those things. I have a higher power that's working it out. So I don't be stressed. And listen, that's not to say that I there are things that I could worry about. Like, my husband works in environmental health, environmental energy. He works in those fields. Those fields, they're not the most popular fields for our current administration. So there's things I could be worried about. But instead, my husband's interviewing for a higher position. You know what I'm saying? Like, God be working things out. He really do. He really do. So, where do you need God to turn the tables in your life? Our action step is declare victory over any area where you feel defeated. Over any area where you feel defeated. Declare victory. So, yeah. Pretty good, right? Pretty good.
Morning, Tom.
Good morning, Mr. Snotty. Got your gray on?
Yeah. 4 miles.
Okay, 4 miles. Yeah, he can turn any situation around. You ain't even gotta worry. You ain't even gotta worry. You should leave, hopefully, this devotion this morning with a new peace, a new understanding of what peace really is. That you ain't gotta worry. You ain't gotta worry. He said today, he showed you up and down and throughout that he can turn things around, right? So, what you say, Miss on the island, right out the gate. This is some point in on time. Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. He always says he will. He will. So tomorrow we are on day 15. We are halfway through our devotional for this month. Next week, I will be working on getting that first one out for you. Again, I may try to get this one out too. We'll see what happens. Don't, yeah. He will do it. He will do it, man. So anyway, I don't have anything else for y'all. I pray and intend that you have an amazing day. I should have a vlog out for y'all later this evening. It's already edited. I just need to add the music. Yes, God is in control. Surrender, have faith, and trust in God. Absolutely. Surrender. Like, if you don't learn anything else this year, learn that word. Surrender. Surrender and trust. I surrender. I trust you, Lord. He's your father. He don't want nothing bad to happen to you. Believe that. So anyway, y'all have an amazing day. I will see y'all on tomorrow, 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. Bye.